Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of our video series here at Cameron Downing. Glenn Downing, my business partner, and myself, Jonathan Cameron, we are on a mission to interview some of the most interesting people in Miami and South Florida as a whole. And today, what we want to do is have a conversation with Derek Wilson. Derek is an artist in the community here in South Florida and Miami specifically, and he's done some great work, and he's going to share some of his stories about what it's like to be an artist here in Miami. And just as a quick intro, he's done a lot of work in the Wynwood area, the design district in Miami, and he's also a teacher at Ferguson High School in the art program. So with that, Derek, I wanted to just give the floor to you a little bit, just to talk a little bit about some of what you do, what you focus on in the art world, and some of the projects you're working on.
Well, I just want to first thank you guys for having me. I mean, it's a great opportunity for both of us, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to express myself in another medium, which this is. What I'm really excited about you talk about what are we working on lately in the community. I really enjoy giving back to Miami, to my hometown. Really, I've been doing that for quite some time, and I am working with a partner of mine by the name of Frank Moreno, and we've come up with a concept, so to speak, and it's called Wall Brawl. And Wall Brawl is a interactive, competitive live painting scenario that takes place with various events throughout South Florida for the last, I would say, year and a half now. We're really excited about our next one, which is coming up March 6th. We're working with the Ronald McDonald House. I have 20 artists painting live, all simultaneously. Probably the largest collection of artists, street artists to be more specific, in South Florida, all painting at the same time, all for Ronald McDonald House. All the proceeds from that night will be going to the Ronald McDonald House. We'll be painting at the Annex in Midtown. So just on the edge of Wynwood, I'm using a bunch of artists, utilizing a bunch of artists from the Wynwood area, and again, like I said, probably the largest collection of street artists in Miami, all painting at the same time. So really excited about that. We're looking at doing a variety of things in the coming months with Wall Brawl, always partnering with different nonprofit organizations. We work with Feeding South Florida. I've worked with, you name it, Easter Seals. I've worked with almost every nonprofit here in South Florida, and I take a lot of pride. I donate a lot of work to them. I would rather give my art away than having it sit on the shelf collecting dust. And it's one of the things that I really pride myself in, giving back to this community.
Fantastic. So Wall Brawl itself, tell us a little bit more. What kind of art happens there? How many artists are involved?
It depends on the venue and the event. So we're very flexible. We're very fluid, and we kind of morph to the scenario. So we partner with XYZ event, and they're at this location, and either we can spray paint or we can't. So we figure out from there the materials, and then from there figure out which artists I can utilize. I have an eclectic group of artists that I'm very fortunate to be working with. So many of them, respond to my emails, respond to my calls, and most of them are of the same energy, the same vibe. They want to give back. They want to help out. They're not just in it for the money or the fame, and it's great to be working with such a group of artists from Miami. You would think that artists, I get that a lot, that artists are difficult. I'm an artist myself, but we've been very fortunate. The group of artists I work with, I have almost 24 that I can pull from a hat, and they are always ready to paint live. And it just depends on the event and the scenario. But we usually partner with events, in the Wynwood area, in Midtown. We do the Downtown Art Days at the McCormick Place building We do that every year, and it all depends. If we're outdoors, we're spray painting. If we're indoors, we're doing something else. We're painting or using markers or something. You know, it just always depends on the situation.
Right, right. I want to ask you some more about Wynwood in a minute, but for those of you who, if anyone's been living under a rock in South Florida, the Wynwood Midtown Design District area, just north of the downtown Miami area, in the last, I would say, maybe 7, 10 years, has really seen a resurgence in just the art community, making us in Miami really an epicenter of the art world. A lot of the organic work is happening there, and it's really catching the attention of big artists and collectors and so forth. Well, I wanted to first, before getting talking a little bit more about Wynwood and getting Derek's perspective, Derek, I wanted to find out more about specifically the art that you do mostly, the kind of art that you see selling or that you see as popular, that you specifically have been working on. What are some of those paintings or works that you've done that people have really gravitated to, or that you want to highlight?
You know, that's a really long story. I have an eclectic collection of work. My inspirations run the gambit. We would be here all day. The power would probably eventually go out. I can talk and talk and talk about my work. Where do I begin? I've been working for the last, I would say, 7 years with a collection of work that's called Harriet Secret Collection. Harriet Secret is a dedication, a tribute to my mother who passed away about 10 years ago. And the work started off with symbols that represented her. The hydrangea, these boxes that are like jewelry boxes. I was really making some very personal pieces, almost too personal. In fact, I was told by some designers that individuals wouldn't buy my work. They were afraid to purchase my work because it was almost too personal. So here I am, you know, I was a FIU grad, shout out to the Panthers, and trained to create work up from a personal level, work that was conceptual, not art for art's sake, but work that was very conceptual. And here I was being incredibly personal, and it wasn't work, it wasn't selling. And that's not the reason why I kind of changed genres or went into street art, let's say. But it kind of happened in a very organic way, I want to say, and I've been benefiting from that. The work now is really about my memories, still under the umbrella of the Harriet Secret Collection, but more about my memories and sort of the icons of my childhood. I grew up in a time where, you know, there was 10 channels, and you change channels with a knob. Thank God for the remote control. You know, it gave my stepfather something to throw at the TV. Thank God for that. But boom, boom. But anyway, you know, I grew up in a day and age where cartoons were on Saturday, and you waited all week. So there was also the mornings. You could watch cartoons in the mornings as well.
Absolutely.
And then how apropos they had our cartoons right about 3 o'clock when the kids were getting home from school. I used to watch my brother zone out to Garfield. Still mesmerizes me to this day. How you doing, Tom Wilson? Anyway, so cartoons was a big deal. It was a big deal. You know, it wasn't on 24/7 like my son is used to now. So I started looking at my past and started looking at some symbols that would represent me, and still at the same time be able to tell my mother's story, because that's what's important to me, to keep her alive through the artwork. So after a series of pieces, I came across, let me go ahead and do a speed racer, because I was doing a series of works based on cars and shows that had cars in the Hot Wheels and playing with Hot Wheels, all these kind of ideas intermixed in the artwork. And as soon as I I executed the first speed racer. It sold almost immediately. So thinking I needed to pad my collection, I needed to have works ready. It was a new series of works. Really, it was a new thread. It was more street art. It was more pop. I needed to have more of it. I had plenty of the stuff that was very personal of in regards to my mother and the symbols of the hydrangea and these other components. But I didn't have enough of this street art, fusion pop art stuff. So I just kept working. So I painted another one. As soon as I finished that one sold. And to this day, and to this moment, I'm going to have a show in March at the Aloft in Doral, and I'm making speed racers for it because I don't have enough in stock. They just keep moving. I'm either selling the original and or the prints. Just they fly off the shelf, let's say. And so I've been very fortunate with that. I've never been a one-trick pony, and I have always prided myself at being someone who never went that route. But I would have to say there's been such a response to the work. And someone said to me at an event that I was painting live at, turned to me and said, nostalgia sells. And they were absolutely right. A lot of people connect with the work because it reminds them, just like it reminds me, of their childhood. And everybody embraces that ideal.
Fantastic, fantastic. That makes a lot of sense. And I was thinking Garfield too. When you mentioned Garfield, that's the first thing you think of when you think of Saturday morning cartoons, right?
Yeah.
But so obviously Speed Racer has been a great success for you. Is there maybe, and I hate to limit it in this way, but I know we have limited time. Is there another piece that maybe you think is, say, this is my next speed racer, this is my next, this is what hasn't been discovered yet, this is what I'd like to maybe highlight that maybe hasn't had the publicity that your speed racer art has, but is there another piece that you could say, this is probably going to be the next big thing for me?
I've sat and contemplated that myself, curious as to, where things are going to go. And I have a variety of avenues that I want to pursue. I used to watch the Thundercats all the time. At least just love that show. He-Man, my first toys that I used to play with. So there's a variety of scenarios, but what I tend to do, I think, and not on purpose, but now that you've asked the question, I'm pondering it. Things, just kind of happen as they should, and I'm sure that when the time has come that Speed Racer has, run its course, there'll be something else, and I've been going back to some of the things that I worked on previously in regards to the Harriet Secret collection. I'm going to be painting live this weekend in Wynwood, and it's Valentine's Day, so you gotta figure, you gotta throw something out there for the people.
Yep.
They're walking around, they're feeling romantic. Maybe somebody wants to buy a painting from filled with hydrangeas. So and that again was my mother's flower. So I've been working with the hydrangeas again, but like I said, I've told students, anybody that will listen, if you're in a band and they want to hear Stairway to Heaven, you're gonna play Stairway to Heaven. So I'm playing Speed Racer until they stop asking.
Fantastic, fantastic. Wanted to get into a little bit about your perspective on Wynwood, and we'll actually, those who are watching will see at the bottom of our screen where to go on your website. But what is the tell us about Wynwood. Obviously, you're very involved in the art scene there, and some murals there. I guess from two perspectives. One, how have you seen it evolve over the years, and where do you see new artists going? And considering that it's really gotten really kind of a pricey place to be for some artists. So where have you seen it come from, its evolution, and where do you see the new generation of artists going in the Miami area to set up shop?
You know, I would say Wynwood is an enigma of sorts. Um, it's more than just a name. It's more than just a location. And I don't want to sound kind of hokey and 70s peace pipe smoking, but it's more of a vibe. It's definitely more of an energy than the location, I want to say. But it is what it is. That is the Mecca. You know, that's the Holy Land there in regards to art. So as an artist, you know, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be, whether you're in a gallery or on the walls. It has such an allure. It has such a pull because it's everywhere. You read about it, you hear about it, and you want to be part of that. You want to be part of that energy. And I'm fortunate at this stage that I've had the opportunity to show in galleries like Win317, which has been very has really opened their doors to me. I have, you know, it's been very accommodating, and I'm just grateful that I've been able to show with them. And I currently have a piece on display with them, and they have some of my Speed Racer prints there as well for sale. So I've been very fortunate, and it's just one of those. I tell you, I could go there every day and just walk around. Unfortunately, there's no income in connection with just walking around Wynwood, unless maybe I start some tours. But I mean, I would tell you this: by no stretch of the imagination am I an expert on Wynwood. I can think of countless artists that I would rather have in front of this camera talking about Wynwood than myself. I am only, honestly, again, it's more than just a location. I'm only on the outside of this circle of understanding in terms of Wynwood and the potential there. And it's exciting, though. That's a great place to be, in fact. It's definitely not old to me. It still renews itself every year with Art Basel, and it's just ongoing. I can't say enough about it. It's just it's one of those things. I can't really I can't pigeonhole it. I can't really describe it. You know, but it's something as an artist you want to be part of.
Tell us about Art Basel. I know you mentioned to me off camera about some things that are in the works for you.
Yeah, we're I mean, can you imagine? It's February, and we're in the planning stages already for 2015. In regards to Wall Brawl is really taken off. Really excited about some of the things that are up and coming in 2015. I can't say names, and I can't say dates, and I can't say locations, but it's a really exciting time for me and my partner as an artist. It's, you know, when things are happening like this and the energy's flowing and the creativity, it's just yeah, I'm in heaven in regards to that, and really excited about what we're putting together, and I can't wait to start recruiting the artists that have worked with us for so long, because this is going to be their reward as well, not just ours but theirs. Because these are some really incredibly big events, and everybody's going to be happy. Definitely, monetarily speaking, everybody's going to be very happy.
Great, great. Well, I wanted to shift as we start wrapping up, about what does the up and coming artist think about when they're thinking about artistry as a career. Whether it's the business side, the practical side, from your experience, since you've been through the fire and have gone through it, and you've really come out and come out very strong. Talk to the young artist who's watching, or someone who really wants to go in that direction. What should they be thinking about?
Well, first of all, stop listening to people. Stop listening. I hate to say this. Stop listening to your parents. Because that's a broken record at this point. I know what they're telling you. They're telling you you're going to be a starving artist. That's old. That's very, very old. That's like 1990s old. That's parachute pants. Old. We're not there anymore. It's a new age. A friend of mine put it very, very well. Sonia Romero, who's a principal at Carroll City Middle School. She said, we're in a visual revolution, and she's absolutely right. It's a visual world. Think about it. Everything has a visual connected to it. Your company, right now, this is a visual medium. Here we are. So everything is visual. Now, the visuals are tied to technology. So there's ways, and I tell this to my students, there's ways to sell this to your parents. Become aware, of the latest visuals. Well, I would say the latest technology, so that you can tell your parents, okay, this is what I want to pursue as a creative person. That's for step one. Become informed. Absolutely. There's so much out there. There's so many schools that have a variety of programs. There's so many schools that will have you ready for the industry so that you can pay the bills. That's step one. If you're an aspiring artist, let's say, just about to graduate high school or in the early stages of college, yeah, there's so much out there. It's a different world now. The starving artist scenario, you're only a starving artist because you want to be, I would say at this point. There's just too many possibilities. And it's really exciting when I bring colleges to Ferguson Senior High School to speak to my students. I want to drop out of high school. I want to drop out of teaching high school and go back to school. But that's not going to happen. But anyway, other than that, if you're an aspiring artist and let's say you've passed that threshold, you're not going back to college like myself, I would say the first thing to do would be to get incorporated. Create a business, create an LLC, more specifically. Let me be very specific. Create an LLC. The tax breaks with an LLC really help you as an aspiring artist. There's a lot of tax write-offs. Make sure you get familiar with tax laws or have a really good accountant who understands all the tax laws. And work that angle and then start investing in that. And all those things are potential write-offs. And, hopefully with that and maybe a couple sales, that always helps, you start reinvesting in your business and it starts to grow. I would say for myself, with the Speed Racer series, I've noticed the response to the originals, but not everybody could buy the originals. So I invested in creating prints. It wasn't cheap, but the prints started to sell. So more people, I would say, have bought prints and have bought originals for the matter of fact that it's cheaper. So, that investment, that idea, those concepts about reproductions, that has helped me presently. So and I just keep doing it. I keep reinvesting in myself, reinvesting in Wilson Art, and creating prints for those who can't afford the originals.
Great, and I'll close on this from another perspective. So that was for the aspiring artists. How about those who are interested in collecting art in general? What are some good resources for them to begin doing that, and who should they? Are there good websites? Are there good people? Are there good groups to really start just being someone who's really knowledgeable about what they're collecting and wants to just be intentional about the art that they do buy? What would you recommend?
Well, first of all, of course, I recommend wilson-art.net for your collection. And let me just talk about myself because I can do that quite well.
Sure.
I do have an eclectic collection of stuff on there. If you go onto the website, you're going to see everything from hyper-realistic oil paintings of my beautiful wife. Hello, Rebecca Wilson. Happy Valentine's Day. The love of my life. It's beautiful paintings of her. To street art inspired works, using found objects. It's, it runs the gambit. So you start with me. After that, there's a lot of blogs out there, friends of mine that have blogs that they're showcasing artists all the time. Miami Art Scene is one of them. I could point you in that direction and say, go check out Miami Art Scene, and Kat Wagner runs that blog, and see what she's representing, for the given month or what have you. And after that, go to Wynwood, go to Downtown Art Days when that comes around, or go visit the McCormick Place building. There, 7 floors of artists are there, and they have their own art walk. So, and there's the Bird Road Art Walk as well. So all these cities have their own little, most of them have their own little walk, their own little art walk. So I would say venture out, and you end up finding a local artist whose prices are reasonable, I would say, and most of us are reasonable. I'm trying to sell. And I try to price myself as reasonably as possible. And I've run into several artists who do the same. So I think locally, there's a lot of potential here locally. And I would just, go out, go on the walks, go to Coral Gables, see what's being produced locally, and you should be okay.
Great. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate your time. Again, wanted to just mention this series is being produced by Jonathan Cameron, Glenn Downing. We're certified financial planners in Miami, Florida, and this is a great part in our series of really interesting folks that we want to make sure their stories get out there, and that the knowledge that they have and the specialties that they focus on gets out into the community. So thank you again, Derek, for your time.
Thank you.
Much success to all of us.
Thank you. A lot of fun. Thank you, gentlemen.